Hi. How Minnesota profited from slavery. Essential question, how did Minnesota profit from slavery? When we read with purpose later, what should our purpose question be? This, how did Minnesota profit from slavery? Profit, what does it mean? To make money from. For example, YouTube makes a profit from ads. What's the correct order? A, slavery, then Civil War, then the end of slavery. B, Civil War, slavery, then the end of slavery. C, slavery, then the end of slavery, then the Civil War. Answer is A, slavery, Civil War, end of slavery. Purpose question, remember, how did Minnesota profit from slavery? How did Minnesota profit from slavery? Land of the free. Ever since its beginning in 1776, the United States had struggled to live up to the ideal found in the Declaration of Independence that all men are created equal. Slavery prevented this ideal from being achieved. Many Americans owned enslaved African Americans, and the U.S. Constitution even contained words that made slavery legal. By the early 1800s, slavery was beginning to divide the country in two. In the North, more and more people were coming to believe slavery was morally wrong and unprofitable. States like Massachusetts, New Hampshire, and Pennsylvania passed laws making it illegal for one person to own another person. Newer northern states, such as Minnesota, Iowa, and Wisconsin, banned slavery right from the start. I learned that Minnesota may have profited from slavery when it was a different story in the South. While some Southerners believed slavery was wrong, many more believed it was essential to their way of life. Farmers in the South, especially those owning plantations or very large farms, needed cheap labor in order to make their sugar, tobacco, and cotton crops profitable. A new type of cotton plant and the invention of the cotton gin, a machine that separated the fiber of the cotton plant from its seeds, had turned cotton into an especially profitable crop. Southern plantation owners depended more than ever on their enslaved people to pick cotton. I learned that Minnesota may have profited from slavery when Southerners were not the only people who supported slavery. Some Northerners believed that the South should be allowed to keep slavery and the enslaved people who had escaped should be returned to their owners. Nearly all Northerners did agree on one thing, however. They didn't want slavery to spread into the West as new states were formed. Many white Southerners did. Decisions about whether slavery would exist in these new Western states were important because they determined which side would have more power in the U.S. government. Of all the questions involving slavery, this one seemed hardest to resolve. Like Northerners in other states, Minnesotans had varying feelings about slavery and what to do about it. In 1860, those feelings were put to the test. I learned that Minnesota may have profited from slavery when the economics of slavery. A circular flow model is used to show the interaction of buyers and sellers in a market economy. Just so you know, it's talking about the next page, this right here. This model shows how slavery connected to the North to the South. The marketplace connected buyers and sellers even when they came from different regions. For example, a farmer from the South made money from cotton grown on his farm that was used to make clothing. If a factory owner or an employee from the North made money from producing clothing, that person was connected economically to cotton produced by slave labor. As a result, even places that outlawed slavery, like Minnesota, benefited from it. I learned that Minnesota may have profited from slavery when circular flow model, cotton and clothing, resource market on the top, product market on the bottom. Southern plantation produces cotton. Northern clothing factory makes clothing and sells it to the South. Northern clothing factory makes money from Southern plantations, who make money from selling their things to the Northern factories. I learned that Minnesota may have profited from slavery when. How did Minnesota profit from slavery? Minnesota profited from slavery by or when. Done? You rock. Dropbox at MNS How Minnesota profited from slavery. Thanks, guys.